In the top episode, the killer assassinated the president by deliberately hitting the bullet into the wall. Because the deviation of the bullet can be calculated by combining the direction of the windmill and the lock. The killer readjusts the crosshairs and another bullet was fired, and this time it landed exactly in the center. All you have to do now is to wait for the president to show up, then shoot him. The other person was killed instantly. The bodyguard immediately picked up the telescope to look for the killer, but the man still held the sniper rifle, deliberately showing the reflection and waiting for the other party to find him. After confirming that he had broken in, the killer quickly hid the rifle in a box. After installing the fixed bomb, he decided to leave. Only when the room became the target, he could hide his tracks better. Before leaving, he pressed the alarm. Attracting all the police's attention, he got into the car that had been prepared in advance but was determined to leave the hotel. Finally, a large number of police cars arrived. The killer smiled slightly, turned around, and drove the car back to the parking lot, because this is where his real getaway car is hidden, after a rotation. Even if the first car is captured by surveillance, the police could not find any trace of him, and when Taejing entered the room, he fell into his bomb trap. The huge explosion destroyed all the plants on the scene, and the car he used for cover also exploded at the same time, erasing all traces of him. The killer was like a dark forest. But what he didn't expect was that the police force at the provincial checkpoint had increased 3 times compared to usual. Every car was carefully inspected. Even if I was disguised as a lawyer, I was stopped by the police. The police asked him to get out of the car and open the trunk. Sure enough, the police found the box containing the grouper. But the strange thing is that after checking for a long time, the police said that there was no problem and let the killer go. The parts of the suitcase are perfectly integrated, and the handle of the suitcase is taken out. After that, it can be assembled into a sighting mirror, and then the support frame inside the box can be removed. It forms the body of the machine gun. Just remove the zipper head and you have it. This is obviously not in line with the length, because the height of the box is only 60 centimeters. If you want to complete such a long-distance killing, the gun gallery must be at least 1 meter long, which means the killer used a modified gun and hid it in a suitcase, which would make the case easier. There are only a few weapon modification companies that can meet the requirements of both long-range and assembly. As long as we follow this clue, we will definitely be able to find the killer. Although the killer has already left the UK, he took public transportation home to hide his whereabouts, but he had no idea that he was about to explode. He returned to his mansion in Jawai as usual, put the weapon in his bag and hid it. When he finally saw his wife, he put away his coldness and smiled. His wife had always thought that he was just back from a business trip and never imagined that her husband was actually a top killer. The killer returned to the room and opened the underground dark watch, preparing to contact the customer to collect the 3.75 million wei payment. After waiting for a long time, the customer only replied with 2 words coldly. The killer's hands were shaking. This was the first time someone had denied his debt. He sneered. At the same time, he sentenced the other party to death. The moment he was pricked, he was furious and determined to find the guy who was responsible for this story. The killer sent a message to the bank, requesting to see the information of the person who made the advance payment, but the bank did not respond. But when he said that the target of the assassination was Musk, a big investor in the technology company, Matt hesitated. To assassinate such a powerful person, he had to pay extra money. The two agreed to meet in a restaurant, but when the woman arrived, she only received the note left by Matt. This is necessary to prevent people from following you. Although Matt's drug prices are a bit exaggerated, but the woman has a top consortium behind her. He said a new software called CoreStream will be released. It will affect the wallets of all the rich people in the world, make their assets transparent. So before this, other information can only be checked by Matt himself. Obviously, the client knew how to conceal his identity. Fortunately, Matt had accounts in various countries around the world. Finally, we found the original registered company. It was a German company. The company's main business is their annual meeting photos. Matt frantically kept searching. After much effort, he finally met the man who had told him to get lost. Now the fun was about to begin. The driver was about to get into the car when he encountered a top killer. The opponent used Xiao Ying's pistol to help the driver break into the trunk. As a result, he shot without hesitation as soon as he lay down, which saved the time of moving the body. Then he drove away in the luxury car. See if there are other women hiding in the hotel. Amy checked the room 360 degrees without thinking. Sure enough, he didn't find the other person, but he was still worried. He proposed to go to Amsterdam to see Matt. Matt said decisively that he was very busy and had no time to accompany him. All she said was rejection. The conversation between the two ended unhappily. I thought my husband must be hiding something from me, so I started to search his office. Finally, I found the design drawings of this shop among a pile of documents. After careful comparison, I found that he discovered a space in the drawing that he had never seen before, which seemed to be hidden behind the mirror in the office. He asked his brother to push hard. Recently, they found a hidden secret door. The door was locked with a precise code. My brother took out an electric drill and broke the door open. Then I went inside and saw passports and currencies from various countries, as well as a lot of weapons and military equipment. He then realized that the old man was not a so-called businessman at all. At the same time, Matt's mobile phone received a secret alert that someone had broken into his military pants. But when he picked up his phone and saw that it was his wife and family, Matt felt that he was doomed. After getting off the truck, he offered the driver 20,000 yuan without any apology to send him away. Seeing this attitude, the driver refused to compromise no matter what he said. Looking for a place to start, he deliberately put the metal wallet into his pocket and then raised the alarm. Let him react to it. Carefully observe the structure of the venue. He found that there was a space above his head. It is a prop used to match the stage lighting performance, so I stole it without hesitation. I climbed up. There were a few workers here who had just finished repairing the equipment. After they left, he took out the rigging tool, opened the cover of the alarm lock, and successfully entered the stage props. The good deeds here are kept at a certain distance from each other. As long as he finds the right position, he can kill the person on the stage with one shot. He took out his cell phone and prepared. He rushed out of the door and shot Matt with one bullet. 2 shots blew out the window. Mark tried to escape, but he accidentally bumped into a tree and was doomed. The man slowly approached. After opening the car door, he found that Matt had already escaped. He approached directly with a gun, but he couldn't recognize the real Matt. Under the protection of his wife, I passed the installation easily. The two went in different directions. His wife returned to Spain, while Matt continued on his way to Tallinn, carried out the mission of assassinating Musk, and finally got on the plane successfully. But the strange thing is that the plane that was scheduled to take off was also delayed. Matt asked and found out that several police officers had received a temporary notice. Need to build this plane. When Matt looked up, the visitors turned out to be Mei and his companions. The good news is that Hei Mei did not recognize herself in disguise. But the bad news is that they are not going back to England, but to him, meaning themselves.